Hey y'all, what's up? Thank you for listening to True Carpet. Welcome back to our podcast episode. Sometimes I forget this is like a video podcast too. Like I was about to be all up in my phone, y'all, but welcome back to our show. If you're watching, you see we are snacks. That's a fact.
I am a whole meal child. Don't downsize me to a snack.
I'm a whole menu.
I'm a whole meal.
I'm the whole restaurante.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Yaski. This is
Monie.
And welcome to True Carpet for like the umpteenth time because I keep saying that.
Yes.
But I'm happy to be here with my best friend. I haven't seen you in like
a month.
A month.
Probably a little more than a month. I've been neglected. I've been pushed to the side. I've been ignored.
Not to the wayside.
I have been stepped on. I have not felt any love.
I love you.
That's what she says. But she hasn't seen me in a month. There's some change.
Dang. That sounds horrible.
You know how far she is? Now, if I lived
in Cali,
miles and miles and miles. Oh, look at my arm real quick. Miles and miles and miles away, I could understand.
You sound like Tina.
But I
like Tina Turner.
I am not that far away. But here we are, back at it again. It's been a minute, baby.
It's been 24 hours times a month.
Not 24 hours times a month. I usually hear from us every 2 weeks. It's been 4. It's been 4 weeks, y'all.
It's been 4 weeks, but we appreciate you listening to us today.
Yes,
hey. Yay. Okay, so let's get into our check-in.
Yes, we should get into our check-in. And I just realized that I did not do something.
You didn't hit record?
No, we're recording. I'm just not 100% sure.
If you can hear us, because you didn't do that. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
I did not do that.
I saw the green thing going though.
I know, but sometimes, hey y'all, we have close and personal because I need to make sure that our mics work. Because what I do not need. Oh no, we recorded.
Remember that one time when we recorded and it didn't record anything, bro? I was kind of tight because that was a good episode, and that was the episode about sound.
Yes, so that's the crazy part.
Well, y'all see me up close now.
Okay. I have to make sure that. But it is, we doing our fill of wisdom. Yes. So now we can check in. How have you been? Where have you been? What has been going on? How's life and things and of that nature? It's been a month. It's been 4 weeks.
It's been too
long
since we've been gone.
Oh, yes.
We're back on the mics. We've missed you. Yaya and Simone. Ooh. I know I can't speak. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Back in Brooklyn, back in New York with my best friend.
Yes.
Okay, so I have been off the mic because I've been grieving. I just feel like there's been a lot on my plate, and it kind of like hurt me to text you when I did to say I need to take a break. I meant to bring my Kleenex because like I'm like been in an emotional state. I lost my grandma, and I just feel like at that time, it was just like a heavy, unexpected weight drop on not even my shoulder, just me. And it was work with new clients coming in. So like my job is like, on paper it's 9 to 5, but in real life it's not 9 to 5. So like, Monie knows sometimes Mondays I get home at 9:30, and then Wednesdays I get home at whatever. Like it just, and I don't live in the same state or town or whatever that I work in. So it's like after I leave a client at 8, it takes me 45 minutes to an hour to get home. So it's that. And then figuring out when to schedule with Simone, and then my family's coming into town, and then I gotta help plan a funeral, and then I gotta do this and that, and then it's a lot of I gotta kind of thing. And whatever I was able to control, I just wanted to not be on my planner. Like even trying to schedule things with friends or trying to do like anything that was extra, I just was like, if I don't have to do it, which my main focus, and all I did for this whole month was work and funeral planning. That's it. So I just feel like I didn't want to come here, even if it was just to hang out and just feel like I'm not my full self, or feel like I'm neglecting my family at this time. I just feel like I needed to prioritize space for myself, even if that meant, remember that podcast when I said sitting on the left side of my bed, turn to the left, like even if it was that, I just needed that. Like I'm in a place where I forgot what the post was, sometime ago, maybe last week. I don't know. I don't even have a sense of time right now. Today feels like recording day. Right now feels like Saturday, and I know it's not Saturday, but it just feels like that to me. Because I just don't have a sense of time right now. It's just like a lot is going on, and in some moments I feel strong. I feel like I'm okay, but like even a coworker texted me to check in, and while I'm texting her, I just broke down crying. Like if you ask me, like my biggest trigger right now is, "Are you okay?" If you ask me that, I'll tell you no, I'm not okay, but then I'll break down crying. Like I broke down crying in front of a stranger yesterday, and they think I'm crying because I don't want them to give me a needle at the doctor's office. And I'm like, she's like, "It's gonna be okay," and I'm shaking my head like, "I got this going on, this," and she's like, "Oh." So it kind of felt like she's my therapist in that moment, but I finally listened to the advice that I give my clients or friends and stuff. Like, take time for yourself. It's okay, you know. But it's hard to do. Like, even putting in bereavement at work, I felt guilty doing that. Or like putting in a sick day, I felt guilty for doing that. Like, it just feels selfish to me. But then I'm being selfish to my clients, or I'm being selfish to the podcast, or I'm being selfish to this. If I'm not being my true self and coming whole, I need to take time for myself. So that's why we've been on a break for the last couple weeks. And y'all's perspective, but it's been a month for us because I just didn't feel like I can come bearing my whole self if I wasn't really there, or if I had like, even I went to a client and I don't like, usually my phone is either in my car or in my purse and not out during session unless it's a client that I need to put a timer on. Then I'm like, "Okay, Simone, my timer is here," whatever. But I like literally was in front of a client, like I had family stuff going on. I'm so sorry if my phone goes off, but it's like, and they were like, "It's okay," you know. So like it's just, I've been on edge for the last however many weeks, and even before that, it's just like stuff is always going on. And what's crazy is it's the anniversary of my friend passing away last year, and I'm like, the same weekend that we buried my grandma is that same weekend that last year we said goodbye to her. So it's just like, I'm coming here with a heavy heart, but I'm also happy too, because just like, I always give a shout out to my cousin Ronald. Just like Ronald shared when he was speaking about mental health and depression, when you're going through depression, it's important to, if you can, continue your cycle with things. Give yourself grace, give yourself space. But if you can, continue cleaning, continue watching shows. Don't sit in this dark hole. So for me, it felt nice. Like, I usually hate catching a bus and train to come to Brooklyn, but it felt nice to walk to the bus stop today and like see other people's faces and stuff, opposed to sitting in my dark room watching Netflix. It just really felt nice to put on makeup. Even I don't really be liking makeup all the time, but it just felt nice to just like, okay, I'm out of my hole right now. I'm not a hermit Virgo right now. I'm a out social Virgo, so that's what I've been going through. That's not what I planned to share in my check-in. But I wanted to share with Simone regarding catching the train today. I always have a ratchet story to tell Simone about the train, but I wanted to tell you, like, this man got on the PAD train and sat there. He was like shaking and stuff. So I was like, maybe he on drugs or something, maybe something going on. He pulled out a cigarette and started smoking on the train, bro.
That wouldn't be the first time.
But it was just like surprising, like he was a little dusting his little thing. I was like,
it probably wasn't a cigarette. It was probably it looked like a homemade I forget what they call them. It's like a joint, but it ain't. Because it ain't really weed, it's mixed with some other stuff, and it stink.
It was stink, and but he pulled out a cigarette thing, so he smoked that. That was one of my one out of three things. I forgot the third thing, but the second thing was when I went to the doctor today. He kind of like always talks when I go for my checkup thingies. I guess to try to distract me from the routine that I get. And he asked me, this is kind of, in my opinion, is sad. He asked me if I was excited for the summer, and I said, well, I'm an adult, so I'm not really excited for the summer because I'm like Monie. I don't get summers off, so like it's just a change in temperature for me. But I'm excited for the fall because I have trips coming up. That's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm telling him about my trips and stuff. And then it was just silence. I was like, "What about you?" And he said, "No, I don't really go on trips." And I said, "What?" And he was like, "Because he's so focused on work, and he kind of like gets guilt from going on trips." And I was like, "Oh, I can understand that. I get guilty too, but you try to go on trips." And then after I left the office, I'm like, I always assumed or thought that people that have more money than me, like I assume you're a dermatologist, you got money, you could do whatever you want, kind of thing. I would assume that they could have the life of luxury and be able to go places. But to hear from him today, like he's not done anything. He don't like to take off for work. That kind of little hurt my feelings. I said that backwards. That kind of hurt my little feelings. Is what I meant to say. Like, dang, I don't know. I just felt like I should share that with you. Like, part of it is don't take things for granted. Like the opportunity to be able to explore the world and do things, and then not be locked down. We're not parents, so we don't have this schedule of like I can only travel in the summertime when the kids can, or I gotta ask my husband or this person for the finances or whatever. Like look at things like we can literally go when we want to go, even though we gotta put in work, like let our job know or make sure we have the money. But this person who I assume has the money, I don't know their responsibilities or anything like that. But I was like, dang, I gotta tell that to Simone. What you think?
First of all, I would just like to say that I was letting you speak because it felt like you had a lot to say and you didn't want to forget what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Because, child, I wanted to hop in. I was like, let me let you finish her because there's a lot of points that I want to hit. So first being, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're well. You look happy. Like, granted, I haven't seen you in a month. Like, I'm glad that you've taken the time to do what you need to do to heal and give yourself the actual time to grieve. Because trust me, I understand how hard that could be. Like, you know how hard it was for me when I lost my nana. So I can only imagine what you may have been going through with still having to go to work and still having to deal with family and then having to help out with the funeral arrangement and things like that. Like, and then the funeral itself and then the burial and all of that. Like, it all comes with so much. And then sometimes there's emotions that you don't even expect to come up. Like, you feel like I've done this thing and now I'm fine, the funeral's done. But like a week from now, a year from now, it's like there's no timeline on when, like, grieving never stops. Like, I still cry over my nana, but I think it's important to remember that it's okay to cry. Like, and I don't think anybody should feel guilty for having to take time away for having to take care of their own mental health or their emotions. Like, I understand the process of feeling guilty, but at the same time, like, you can't put yourself to the side. Like, if we are not filling our cups, we don't have
anything to pour into anything.
Exactly.
So I literally thought about that too. Like, my cup is fucking empty. How can I even give to anybody else? I think I typed that in my phone.
Then you have to allow people to pour into you. Like people go through things, and then I think oftentimes people too forget that there are people that you can lean on, people that you can call on. And for those that feel as if they don't have those people, I really hope and pray that you're able to align with those type of people to have in your life when you're not able, when your battery is completely dead and you need a recharge. Like, everybody needs those people, whether it's just somebody that you need to sit in a room with, to watch a movie with, say nothing, or just be in a space to just hold me while I cry. Like, it's just, or just sit on the phone with me for a few hours. We don't got to talk about nothing. Let's just sit on FaceTime. Listen to me breathe. I just want to feel in the company of being with somebody else in this space while I'm feeling what I'm feeling and going through what I'm going through. Everybody needs somebody. So don't feel guilty. Like, fuck that job. Like, not necessarily like, yes, you need to work, but at the same time, like, the same information and advice that you give to your clients, you know, you got to give it to yourself. Like you have to give yourself a mental break. Like you have to give yourself time to grieve. Like I hate when people like they act as if everything is fine when they know for a fact that everything is not, and then it just all comes crashing down at a moment where they least expect it to.
Yeah.
And then in the tomato aisle at the grocery store. Like like you crying all over the tomatoes now. Shoot, can't nobody buy these. I can't even make my sandwich.
But what I can say I appreciated was, even though I was scared to put in the time, or like I was allotted 5 days. I took 2 bereavement and then 2 sick because I had other things going on, and because it was a holiday, so I didn't need to, quote unquote, need to use all of them. But when I told my director that I feel guilty for taking time, she's like, "Girl, why? Like, if it was my family, I wouldn't feel guilty about this job. Take your time." So then my coworkers too. So it's just like a thing in my mind that it's hard. Like, and I say it, like I said, so easily to other people, like, "Girl, fuck that job," and I send you a meme or a reel or whatever that says about that. But then when it comes time to do it myself, it's like so hard. But I'm trying to get over the hurdle. But I appreciate people like you, my director, my mom, like my coworkers, and other friends that are in my life to remind me of, like, let it go, let it go. It's okay, but thank you, Simone.
Absolutely.
Simone.
Anytime. Because I can most definitely relate, because I felt guilty calling out, like being legit sick, having no voice, and I have to teach in front of a classroom, and I'm like, but the kids need me. Like, I want them to finish this project, but I'm like, girl, you can barely get out of bed. If you're not your best self, you can't be the best for them. They can't get nothing from you. Yeah. Mind you, sometimes they get on my nerves when I'm there, and then when I'm going, they're like, Miss Loud, where were you? I was sick. I'm not allowed to be sick. No, you're not. That's what they tell me.
You're grown up.
They tell me I'm not allowed to be sick. I'm not allowed to be out. So you get on my nerves when I'm here, you miss me when I'm gone. I understand.
Oh, but miss me when I'm gone. Ain't that a song?
Miss me a little when I'm gone.
Yeah.
That was Drake. But
Rizzy.
but yeah, can definitely relate to that. But we have to stop being guilty for needing to take care of ourselves. I think I don't know. It almost feels like it shouldn't be a double-edged sword. Like, yes, I need to go to work. Yes, I need to do these things. But yes, I need to take care of myself. Like, there is no double-edged anything. It's me sitting in my comfort and making sure I'm the best self that I can possibly be in order to be in these other environments with other people. Like, you're dealing with all these energies all day, and if yours is at a 0%, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're not gonna feel like yourself.
Crash and burn.
Exactly. We don't need crashing and burning. We don't need crash and burn. The world does that on its own just fine.
Word.
So, real quick, I'll check in with a couple of things. As y'all can see, I got this wonderful glass here because I am celebrating the last day of school. It is summertime and I am fine. We'll be on D&D until August, baby. Okay? I love my students, but when I tell you that it is much needed for a break to refuel and come back, teaching is not for the weak. Teaching is not for the weak. Not to say that every job has its ups and downs and its obstacles. You know, you got to go through what you got to go through to get what you need to do at the end of the day. But I am very appreciative of being able to take a summer break and be able to refuel myself and do the things that I need to do in order to be my best self. So cheers to a summer break and being on Do Not Disturb until August. This glass was actually a gift from my good girlfriend Joe over there at Keep It Vertical. Yes. She got me this for Teacher Appreciation Week. It says it takes a big heart to shape little minds. The glass I need to drink from when I come home because, baby, I be stressed out. Other than that, I do also want to add that over the last month, I started doing a new thing.
Oh yeah, tell them.
I started, I guess, refurbishing my brain.
Not refurbishing.
Because it's a thing that I used to do, but I need to bring it back. Going back into learning French.
And texting me.
I've been texting her in French to practice. At first I was like, she know what I said. I'm like, she probably just translated it.
Yeah.
But it's more so for me to get into a rhythm of actually like listening and speaking and writing and reading French again. Like I can read French for the most part. I can't write it very well, and I most definitely can't speak it. It's like everything that I learned, and I started taking French 7th grade. I started taking French in 7th grade, and it just didn't stick. I took it in 7th grade, I took it in high school, and I took it in college. And it never stuck with me. But as I'm going through the lesson, I'm like, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember how to conjugate these verbs. Oh, that makes sense. So it's like, it's refreshing to be able to go through the lessons and be like, I actually know this. So I'm excited to be able to become more fluent. Like I actually want to be fluent in French and then hopefully move on to another language. But I'm actually excited about this journey. I'm on a 26-day streak now of learning my lessons. So I think I actually just paid for the app today. I wasn't paying at first. So I'm like, now that I pay for it, I have no choice but to to actually continue going for the app. But I'm actually really, really excited about it. It's something it's something for me to look forward to. And also reward myself for actually like just jumping into something I've been saying I wanted to do for a while. So actually just realizing that it's as easy as going into an app and just as small as 5 minutes a day. Literally 5 minutes a day. And then there's different games that I can play, like memory and matching games to match my French words with English words so I can remember what they are. It's cool. You try to keep my ranking at number 1. I'm like, no, ain't nobody about to beat me today.
I like that it's a game.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really, really exciting for me. So I'm looking forward to over the summer to just adding more things to my repertoire. Like just reading more, going to the gym more, which is also why I love having the summer break. It gives me an opportunity to just get more into the things that I love to do.
Flexibility, honey.
Exactly. Because during the school year,
Simone wake up early.
I do. During the school year, it's harder for me to like continue to do the things that I love to do on a consistent basis because of me having to do so many things with work and being tired. As soon as I get home, all I want to do is have a glass of wine and go to sleep. So I look forward to the summer, yes, to travel, spend time with my family, spend time with myself. So reading, going on more walks, going to the gym more often. And just enjoying some peace and quiet and building on my new curriculum for the school year. Yeah. I can say that I'm creating my own curriculum. That's actually a really big deal for me. So I'm excited about that. I can't wait. I'll be working on that too. So that was a long check-in, baby.
Yeah. But I want to say, I am proud of your streak. I like when you send me the little things in the morning before you say good morning in French. I use the iPhone translator. That's why I'm so quick, because you can just like click translate and then it'll tell you what Simone is saying. But it also reminds me that I need to get back to my studying because I fell off. Like January and February, I was doing so good, practicing my my language that I chose to do, and I paid for the app too. I think I had 3 apps that I paid for to study. So I was like, do I want to get back to that, or do I want to go back to Arabic? I got both languages that I'm practicing. So I don't know. I'll pick up one at a time because it could be a lot, and I also have to study for other things too. So I don't want to put too much on my plate, but this is a goal. That's also a goal that I had for myself too, because I think it's like beautiful when people can speak multiple languages, and that's something I've been wanting for myself. So thank you for being an inspiration for me, and we're gonna be texting each other languages that we can't understand, but
it translates. And I'll respond in a language that I know. Right. So we practice spelling it instead of using I put what is it? My keyboard is in French now. So I'm typing like, dang, I should probably take it off because it starts to automatically spell the words for me, but I want to be able to spell it by myself. So I need to take it off. But to be quick, it definitely is a big help. So I can be like, aujourd'hui, bonjour.
But you can't do that in Arabic because it's like a design. It looks like, and it is from the other side. But anyway, that was our 20-minute, 57 minutes.
I don't know how long that was, but we checked in. It's been a minute. We deserve a long check-in. Y'all ain't heard from us in a while. Dude, I can keep going. I got a lot I've got going on. Well, but I'll save it for the next episode.
I think that's enough, y'all. So thanks for listening. Thanks for not skipping if you did skip.
Right. They better be into it. Yeah. Get into it. And if you did skip, run that back. Run it back. Go ahead and rewind. But without further ado, since the check-in is over, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the rundown for this episode. So, in today's episode, in the Icebreaker, we are going to be discussing what classes did we wish our middle schools or high schools offered? What was missing? What should have been there? You know, just certain things that we don't know now in life that if we had learned it in middle school or high school, maybe it might be a little easier. See, and then heading on over to Suite 223, I will be giving a piece of one of my favorite poems from one of my favorite poets, which I think is very essential to today's episode. So make sure you tune in to Suite 223 for that. And then heading on over into the cab, we have Miss Kristen Holmes, a fellow educator, coming in to talk about teacher life, what it took for her to become a teacher, what she does in her teaching, what keeps her inspired, how she inspires her students, her day in and day out of being in education. Cannot wait to have this conversation. Make sure y'all tune in to get this hot tea in the classroom. Okay, we're not gonna be in the cafeteria. We're gonna be in the classroom. Classroom, sit at a desk, pull up your seat. That's what we're gonna be.
Get your number 2 pencil.
Right, get your number 2 pencil to take out. Then we are going to head on over with Kristen to our dorm story 7 to talk about teachers or mentors that have shaped our lives to who we have become as adults, women who helped us, guided us in this life that we are in today. And then, of course, if you stay with us all the way into the end, we will have announcements for you. Can't wait to get into it. I'm ready for this icebreaker, girl.
Me too.
All right, there. Let's go.
Hey guys, I didn't write a jingle yet, so I'm just gonna get straight to it. We are in our icebreaker segment because Monie don't want to hear me sing again. We're in our icebreaker segment where Monie and I are gonna respond to a question, which is, which class or classes do you wish were offered when you were a middle school or high school student? I want Monie to start.
I will start. So, the first middle school I went to, because I went to...
Oh, you went to the Catholic school first?
I never went to a Catholic school.
You didn't?
No.
Oh,
no. No, I went to a Catholic school.
You did.
I went to a Christian school.
Oh, it's Christian.
Yes.
Christian is Catholic. I assumed
It's
it was
not
Catholic. That's bad. I'm so sorry.
Christian is more upbeat. Catholic.
No shade.
No shade. I'm just saying, y'all know church a little different with different religions. Anyway. Man, you can move what I was saying. Oh, middle school, high school. Classes I wish that was offered. So I guess technically the first middle school I went to was the Christian school. I'm gonna say the first public middle school that I went to when I was in 7th grade. When you went to 8th grade, they had a program where you were assigned with a partner and y'all had a baby. And the baby, yeah, you had to take care of a baby. It had a system to where like it would cry, you would take care of it, you had to feed it. Know if you need to change, like basically understanding what it is to take care of a child. So if you partner with a guy and you had to walk around with the baby all day, take it home, all of that. I can't remember how long the program was for. By the time I went to the 8th grade, the program was gone. And that was like one of the things that I had looked forward to in regards to like being in middle school, like going to 8th grade and having that program. But I'm like, as of now, I feel like that's something that they need to have in school, that they completely took it out, because that's something that students need to learn about. Like, do you want to have a child right now? Yeah. Like, this is what it takes to actually to take care of a child and having to co-parent with whoever your partner was, see how y'all get along together as far as in a relationship and co-parenting with the child, waking up in the middle of the night and having to see what's wrong with the baby. Does it need does it need to go back to sleep? Exactly. Does it need to be changed? Does it need to be fed? Like, literally going through the process of taking care of a baby. I feel like that is needed today, whether middle school or high school. I feel like the program, it should be implemented. It should definitely go back to being implemented. And I think another thing in middle school, maybe they still do it now in some middle schools. I had it in my high school, but I think also in middle school, I wish they would have had, what was it called then? It wasn't called culinary. Was it culinary? You learn how to cook. You learn how to do home ec. It was called home economics. Home economics. They had that class in my high school. I don't even know if they still have that in high school nowadays. But it just teaches you certain things. Like I know in middle school I took a craft class, so that's where I learned how to sew. I learned how to crochet. Learned how to knit. And then in my middle school, they also had a wood shop class. My mom took me out that so quick. She was like, "That's a class for boys." That's how I ended up crocheting. But yeah, I feel like home economics and whatever that baby class was called, they need to bring that back.
Not whatever that baby.
I don't know what the baby class was called. Parenting 101. I don't know.
Domestication 101.
I know back in the day they did it with an egg, but that program was an actual like computerized baby. So if people tried to like turn the baby off, like beat the baby, like it knew that you tried to like turn the baby off.
I think I've never had that class before, and I always wanted it because I think I saw it on, I don't know if it was like the T and Tamara show or the Steve Harvey when he was the teacher, that show, but I've seen it before, and I don't know if my brother was in that class, but I know exactly what you're talking about. My school did not have that. But yeah, I think that would be dope for high school students to have. Because I don't know if you did. I'm sure you probably did. But when I was in middle school, there were students who were moms. There were parents in my
high school. Yes, I'm not sure about. I didn't know any teen parents in middle school.
There was a girl. I think I was in 6th grade. She was a mom, and then when we got to high school, there were other kids that were parents too. More so, like it was kind of like a hush hush kind of thing. But if you knew somebody's business, you knew somebody's business. Because my school was small. If you know me, you know our school was small, y'all. But yeah, that's something that my school didn't have. I think that would be good. High school, at least high school, if not middle school, kids experience to get the opportunity. Because like growing up, you want to, I want to be a mom, or I want to do this, be a parent. But
right, all right, here you go. Go to work, go to school. That reminds me. A class on financial responsibility.
That's my answer.
Financial responsibility about credit cards, debt, opening a bank account, like just different types of things, like budgeting, like all the things that have to do with financial responsibility in one class. I don't even know if that's offered anywhere. It might be now in this day and age, but as far as I know, growing up, that was not offered middle school or high school. Like knowing how to do any of that stuff. Like I wish I had, like that's something. Yes, we need our regular science, math, history class, blah blah, blah whatever. But I feel like that should be a required class. If anything, an elective that you choose to take. But I feel like that should be something that is offered.
So that's my answer regarding the financial responsibilities. I say that for 2 reasons. One is I remember having a client, and this client wanted pizza every day and these things and that things, asking their parent. And I don't know what made me say it, but I was like, do you know how much this stuff costs? And they were like, well, rent costs $100 and this costs $5. And I'm like, it was a middle school age kid. And I'm like, you have no idea what it takes to be a goddess.
Yo, wait a minute.
I'm just kidding. If you know, you know. It was fitting. So you have no idea.
Stop.
Oh my God.
That has nothing to do with it. Oh, it's okay. Stop. You started it. Now I can't stop. Right. And it's here.
Let's take a breath. All right. It's hot because we can't have the AC running while we're recording. But okay, so when I was, I think, 6th grade or 7th grade, I went to a school where it was 11 months long. So we had like our quote unquote regular school, math, science, English, whatever. And then in the summer, we had the quote unquote basics, but it was kind of like whatever the teacher could make it, whatever they wanted it.
But what we consider basics, if not math, science,
like whatever we needed for standardized tests, and whatever the public school system said that the kids had to learn.
Okay.
But they would also add different things, and like sometimes at my school, the phys ed teacher, because we didn't have gym, we had physical education because we ain't had no gym in our school. That's how small it was. But now they got a gym. I'm so jealous. But anyway, they would teach us about African American history during the summertime, and they will teach us like about money and finances and different things, or they'll have people from like Prudential or the big corporate businesses come to our school and tell us about different things and give us opportunities. So in the summertime, this 1 month experience, the math teacher turned our math class to be a finance situation.
Oh, wow.
So we had to go through the newspaper and find a job from the postings that was in there, and then we had to create. I like this because I got to draw and stuff, but like create our own little checkbook and learn what an account number is and what does withdraw versus deposit mean. What does that job that we quit give us for like our salary? Then we had to find a house, like do different things like that. But I feel like it was too short.
Yeah,
the experience. So I too, like Simone said, I think it's important to learn about finances. I think it's important to learn about groceries, like how much that stuff costs, and basically budgeting.
Right, your bills.
And when you get a job, how to allocate your funds and different things. Because what my school focused on was, which I think is great, go for a career or a job that's gonna, like what they say, go for a career that you would be happy with if you didn't get paid anything. So I never knew or thought or anything, because no one ever taught me to pick a career too that's gonna pay for the lifestyle that you want to have. And I work in social services, and if you know about that, it's basically like you get a little penny, a cute little penny, but you don't get a lot. Like, we don't get paid a lot. So if I could start all over, I love what I do, but I would have went for that architect job that I wanted to, but I scared myself out of it so that I could make the money that affords my lifestyle. Like the lifestyle that I really want to have. Because honestly, as a kid, I thought like that little kid. Like, I didn't know. Like, I would literally have to have conversations with my family and friends sometimes. Like, how much money should I be asking for? How much money do I need for that? I never, as a young adult, knew that. And I had to do my own research to learn how to budget. Like, right now, okay, thinking about when I first got my first internship, and I was getting paid money. Like, at that age, getting $1,000 as a, because they ain't take no taxes.
Right.
So I was getting like 9 something as a 16-year-old for a freaking internship. And I would go take my money and spend it at Dunkin' Donuts and all these other places, and my check was gone. I wish that someone was in my life at that point telling me, okay, take 50% of your check and put it here and then save some. I got so much money for my Sweet 16. Why don't I see this? Like, I wish I would have knew like what budgeting was and why saving and all this stuff was important. So that's really
absolutely
the main thing that I wish that I had while in school. I appreciate that my school taught me about traveling. I appreciate that we had physical education opposed to gym class, because I got the experience of climbing down the side of my high school building, or learning what lacrosse and rugby was while I was in school, opposed to kids that's not cultured and don't know. They only know basketball and football, but I know these
lacrosse
other
was
things.
fun.
Yeah, and badminton and things like that. I do wish that I did have more, not parenting, so to speak, but more education about my body and a man's body. Maybe not in middle school. Maybe
so. You didn't have sex ed?
We had sex ed, but it was because the women in the school decided to. Actually, the teacher, they had a boys group and they had a women's group. So the teacher decided to get together, and we came on a Saturday or something like that to learn. And then in our theater class, the teachers will teach us different things, but it was not in the curriculum.
Okay.
That we had to learn about this. We learned a little bit about it in science class, but not as much. Like, I should know the parts of my vagina. I should know that discharge, this color discharge, and this smell of discharge is okay, opposed to being scared and having to learn things through Google or learn through experience. Like, I just wish that those things were given. So now I know when I have a little girl in my life or become a parent or whatever, that I will instill that if the schools aren't teaching these things.
Right. There should be something, at least like some type of programs. Like, I remember growing up, I went to Girls Inc. Like, I vaguely remember being in Girls Inc., but it like helped me understand like watching what I ate. It gave me like certain lessons. I don't think I stayed in it that long. I just vaguely remember the experience. But I do think that there should be more programs, whether for boys, girls, or combined, where it's learning like about your bodies, financial responsibility, and certain things to gain a better understanding of what to expect as you get older. Because I just feel like we don't have that enough. Like I vaguely remember my 9th grade year, I had sex ed, but I think majority of that class was learning about STDs. I promise you, they just showed a bunch of pictures of like, this is what happens when you have sex.
That sounds like Mean Girls.
Like the whole point of it was like just showing the most disgusting pictures you can find to convince them not to be laying down with each other. That's what it felt like.
And I also feel like it's depicted in a way that it's a scare tactic. And there, you don't want to tell all the pleasurable parts of it, but like, why am I learning in grad school? We had an episode with Ellen where we talked about sex education. I'm learning in grad school that not every vagina looks the same. I've only been with men. I've not seen another woman's vagina, but I saw on pictures as a 20-something-year-old that, they're like, there are at least 30 different types of vaginas. Yeah, like I know boobs look different because we change in the gym room or whatever, but I feel like those are some things to a degree at least that people could learn, because then how do I know that I want to go to college and expand, like learn more about sex education, or that there's sex therapists or these different things that exist? But yeah, I just wish my answer, financial education, financial literacy, was a thing, like a core thing, because then what are you supposed to do when you leave?
Right. Absolutely. Definitely need to have that in schools. A required class.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Yes. So a class about taking care of a baby, a class about home economics. Hello. If it's not being offered, especially the cooking part. Like,
yeah, because during COVID, some of my friends were like, they couldn't cook, so they couldn't order out to eat. And I was like, I feel bad for them.
Like, they didn't know how to cook.
At least an omelet.
Boil some water.
Yeah.
So home economics, so you can learn how to cook. I think you also learn how to do like sewing, like just homey things. Home economics, and financial responsibility. Financial responsibility.
Top three.
1, 2, 3. It's a baby thing. If you know, you know.
And that's it for our
Icebreaker
segment.
Yeah. Now we can head on over into Sweet 2, 2, 3. Let go. Welcome to Sweet 223, where today I, Monie, will be presenting poetry from one of my favorite poets. So today I'm giving y'all something a little different, something that we did way back in the day. Not even been season 1. I think it was season 1 or 2, but not sharing a LoveLoudd piece today. I think this poem is very fitting for our theme of education today.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to share one of my favorite poems, A Dream Deferred, by one of my favorite poets. You know who wrote A Dream Deferred?
No, but I'm interested in finding out.
Black poet, Yaya. Black poet.
Maya?
Man. On the tip of your tongue. Langston Hughes.
Oh, I was gonna say the man with the books. I read him in school. I did.
So,
and he from Harlem or something like
for those of you that know, we're gonna jump into A Dream Deferred by Langston Hughes.
Get into it.
What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? That's A Dream Deferred.
Okay, Langston. But he is from New York, right?
Yeah.
Harlem,
yeah.
That as soon as you started, it made me think of Jean, a person that we had on our second, I think it was our second season, uh, one of our first podcast episodes. Can you read the first line again? Or first two?
Yeah. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?
So either him or Maya Angelou, some poet had a raisin in the sun. That was a poem or a book. I know that.
Raisin in the Sun is a play, but keep going.
Okay, so Gene had a poem that he shared, which was the cemetery. Something like the cemetery is the most expensive or expensive place in the world, something like that. Meaning that what he meant by that was a lot of people die with their dreams, their ideas, their passions, and they never get to either invest in them or put effort into them, make them become something. It also makes me think of I'm thinking slowly vegan, but it's not slowly vegan. It's American Sesh. They post a lot about your time is now. Like,
yeah, not waiting.
Not waiting. Put action into whatever goals or things that you want to do. So that speaks volumes because it's a lot of ideas that people in general, but I have that I want to work on. That I keep deferring it. I've not been putting in effort. Even if it's the 5 minutes a day, like you said, with studying the language that you're studying, putting in 5 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever it takes to reach that goal that you have. So then even every little step that you take on that journey to reach that final goal that you have, it's like something to smile about opposed to putting it off tomorrow, because regarding those people that's in the grave, tomorrow's not there. So that's what that poem is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always try to tell my students, like to make sure, like you are capable of doing anything that you want to do. Don't allow anybody to tell you that you cannot, because you allowing somebody to tell you that you cannot, if you believe it, you won't be able to. So it's just a matter of like sometimes you just gotta take things with a grain of salt. You can't believe that I can do it, but I believe that I can do it, and not allowing things to be put on hold, especially not on hold for too long, because you as a child you believe and you dream and you want to do certain things, but then you become an adult and life starts to life, and it starts to do that thing where you wanted to do this thing, but it took you on this route, so now you started doing this thing, but that dream is still in the back of your mind. This one thing that always sticks to me. A quote is like, if you can't stop thinking about it or you can't stop dreaming about it, it's meant for you to invest in it. Like one thing that always sticks to me is it has to do with writing. Like I always have these ideas. I'm always jotting them down. Like when I have the time, when I have the time, when I have the time.
Gotta make the time. We're best friends.
Exactly. You have to make the time for the thing that you want to do. Back to the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. You start with that 5 minutes a week, turns into 10 minutes a week, turns into an hour a week.
Turns into you speaking fluent French.
Turns into one whole day a week. Like just being mindful of how you're splitting up the time so you do not let your dream die. Because everybody has something in them that is worth being given out to the world. Like it's not even a matter of like, well, that already person talks about that thing, but it's not coming from your voice.
Yeah.
There's so many relationship experts, sex experts, therapists, counselors, mentors, whatever. But it's the matter of the message and how the message is being put out based off the person that's giving those words. So this person might be an inspiration to those 1,000 people, while you can be an inspiration to those 10,000 people. So it's just a matter of how you decide to invest in what you truly, truly, truly want to do. Whether it's something really small or whether it's something really big, whether you have a dream of like wanting to travel once or twice a year, invest in that. Make the time. Start saying no to things. Whether it's a matter of you wanting to, finally fit into that dream dress, make that time to eat healthy. Go to the gym. Whether it's a matter of just going back to school, like you have to invest in yourself. Make the time. Meditation, coloring, reading. It doesn't matter what it is. The dream could be small, the dream could be big. But if you're not investing the time into doing it, it will never happen. Don't let it die.
Let me tell you, the iPhone still came out after we were playing Snake on those Nokias. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was painting before, and that's what I changed it a little bit, but that's the words that a family friend gave to me when I said, I feel like my art is not like there's already big artists out there, or there are people that's already doing this, and they're like, but you're doing it in your special way. And just because somebody drew Bart Simpson sit in a certain way, you drew them differently. Like there's a unique touch that you put on it, whether it's your poetry, whether it's your artwork, whether it's a song, whether like you got your own little spark that you add to it. Don't let anybody shut you down. And for a long time, until recently, actually, when I was sharing with somebody that I know how to draw, I felt shy regarding my artwork because I felt like, what's so special about mine? But why do I see so much special talent in other people and don't see what's in mine? Or why do I feel like this person is lying when they don't owe me anything to give what's it called, like not a shout out, but like give me praise for what I do. It's a quote that stood out was you're not asking for too much, you're just asking the wrong person. Or you're not like, this person may not want to pay for that painting that I have, or they may not have the budget to be able to pay for it, but they still appreciate it. But one day somebody is going to come across and pay that price. I remember one time I drew this, I don't know if it's a tiger or what it was, but I was just so proud of, dang, I really drew that and I painted it. It looked so nice. And my brother and my cousin fought over it, but my brother let my cousin win. And all I asked for was, I think I asked $50, even though I knew it should have cost more. But that person that before didn't want to pay that price made me scared and paid a lower, like started offering my paintings for a lower price. And lo and behold, I sold that painting. I said $50, but I got way more than $50 because that person that bought it saw my value and saw my potential and saw how much work I put into that art piece that they paid more money for it. So, yes, don't let your don't let your paint. Yeah, don't let your paintings die. But whoever you are, don't let your dream die. Because even when I went to I don't want to shout this person out because it's kind of going to sound like I'm shading them. I went to a famous artist exhibit, and this person is deceased. A lot of people are deceased, and it seems like when people pass away, their artwork becomes of more value. And the person that I was at the exhibit with, I told them, well, I hope that when I pass away, that my mom and my family will put my paintings in the exhibit, and then like people could come see my stuff. And that person, it hurt my feelings, but it resonated with me afterwards. That person was like, well, why would people come out to see your work? They don't know anything about you now. And I was like, well, my work is dope. Like, it will mean, it was going to shine in the art exhibit, but then why do I have to wait until I'm in a grave for people to know who I am or to people to see my work? So that, along with some other tidbits that I've been receiving within the recent month, I'm hoping to like do something with what's just collecting dust right now. I'm gonna dust it off, and hopefully, if I ain't do it yet, by the time I listen to this podcast, I'm gonna start working on putting my stuff out there. So that poem says a lot.
It does. It says a lot in so little words. It says a lot in so little words. So for those of you that have been thinking about doing that thing, stop thinking about it. Start taking the steps to actually get it done. Nothing gets done overnight, but think about a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now.
Where you could be.
Where could you possibly be? So start growing in what you want to do. Don't let your dream die. Come on, sweet 223. Coming through the word. Because that's what truth carpet do. Let the truth on the floor.
Expected. Oh my gosh, Simone just did a little dance if y'all not watching.
You gotta watch the video podcast on the YouTube. LoveLoudd.
Listen in your car.
Yes, listen. You can watch on Spotify too, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that poem.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna do more my favorite pieces from my favorite poets. I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for listening to Sweet 223. We're gonna head over to Hot Topic. It's okay, but we're not going to the caf. We are going to the classroom.
Today we're going to the classroom.
We'll be scooting into the little chairs, the desk that they're now selling on Amazon. So if you want a desk for your child, they got them on Amazon. Yeah.
But wait, why do you know that?
That's
you looking for a desk?
No, I saw somebody.
Oh, what are you buying a desk for?
No, I'm not buying a desk. But anyway, let's mosey on over to our Hot Topics segment with Kristen Holmes.
Can't wait. Let's do this.
Let's see what she's going to teach us today.
Right. Pay attention.
Hey y'all, welcome to our Hot Topic segment, which Monie and I told you we are not in the caf today.
Where we
have a special guest today. We are in the classroom.
Yes.
I don't have that desk that go like this or whatever. Oh,
look
she got a pencil?
Yep. Wait, hold on. I got
taking notes, y'all.
Yeah, I got my notebook too. I'm
she
ready.
Got her notebook. She got her number 2 pencil. It's yellow and yellow. Okay.
Period.
Ready.
I can't prepare.
We also have a special guest, which is the teacher. Like, we're skipping lunch today. We are with Kristen. Welcome to our podcast, Kristen. We're so excited to have you.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have a fellow teacher on.
Yeah. So, Monie, if you have extra questions, feel free, because I feel like this is probably going to be like a gossip hours where the teachers get to talk together while the kids are on, like, I want to say curfew. What is it called when they go outside to play? Recess?
Oh, recess.
Yeah, recess. It's been a minute for me. So we already shared that Kristen is a teacher, but we always like to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves. So, Kristen, who are you?
Wow. Loaded question. Okay. But first, I think that I'm someone who really enjoys children. And I think in this like population, it's kind of weird to say that out loud because people misconstrue it. But I know there's some people who teach because they like kids, but like I really enjoy children. It's more than just liking them. I enjoy hearing their laughter. I enjoy seeing like that aha moment happen in the middle of teaching. I enjoy being silly with them. I enjoy listening to all their ridiculous stories about their siblings and their grandparents and the lizard they found in their backyard. I enjoy all of those things that come along with it. So, and beyond that, I am an entrepreneur. I own my own company. I'm someone who crochets and is an avid nap taker. I also very much enjoy Amazon and Target.
I love that. That's relatable to Amazon and Target for sure.
Right. And I was like, I'm gonna have to link up with you because I'm trying to get back into crocheting.
Yes.
For me, it's like riding a bike. I just gotta get some more yarn. And get to hooking. Let's do it. Crochet club.
I love that.
Yeah, you crochet?
I have no idea how to crochet. So you as teachers, maybe you could teach me a little something.
I don't know if I'm the best teacher. I don't like crochet in an orderly fashion at all, but I'd be happy to show you all I know.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll read y'all a book while y'all crochet. So I love how when you introduce yourself, you mentioned the joy that you receive from children.
Yeah.
And at one point we were children, right? So a lot of times adults ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know if they ask that now, but what did you, little Kristen, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So before I answer that, I don't ask my students what they want to be when they grow up, because I really believe they can be what they want to be now. Exactly. So I typically ask them, what do you want to be later in life? Because like if they say I want to be a YouTuber, well, you could be a YouTuber today. You don't have to wait until you're like grown to do it.
Yep.
So some teachers do, but I don't use that language anymore. So when I was a kid and someone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I told them I wanted to be a nurse who specifically did not give needles.
Very specific.
It's very specific, okay? Because we know that like nurses do the needles. That's kind of who does the needles. So a very, very interesting take on nursing. But I think that I felt, even back then that I was called to like work in the helping profession.
Mhm.
So it kind of parallels the teaching a little different though.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Still a helping form. So many
Yeah.
different career avenues that you can take in regards to helping, but you came into the teaching route.
I sure did.
Speaking about route, what did it take for you to become a teacher? Like, is it one of those things where you get your bachelor's degree, you go under somebody's wing, and then you teach kids, or which route did you take to get to where you are today?
So I took the run from it route, I call it.
What?
I did not want to be a teacher. I grew up
Oh
with a
my God.
parent as an educator. I had no desire to become a teacher. In fact, my college degrees are not in education. I have 2 bachelors currently, and I'm working on a master's and a half. Long story. Um, but my first degree is from Penn State. It's a bachelor's of science in communication sciences and disorders, and that's fancy for speech language pathology. And then I have a second bachelor's degree from Kane University in psychology.
Hmm.
Currently, I am a few months away from finishing a master's of arts in teaching and teaching special ed. So it's a dual master's program.
Oh, nice.
And then in about a year and a half, 2 years, I'll have another master's of arts in supervision and school leadership.
Wow. Go ahead, girl. Yes.
It's hard. It's hard. But in order to become a teacher in the state of New Jersey, when I initially started teaching, since I don't have a degree in education, I had to go through something called an alternate route program. So lots of colleges have them. Some community colleges even have it. Basically, it's like crash course in education. They're like, fine, we know that you're capable of doing work. You have a bachelor's degree. That's like kind of the requirement to get into the program.
Mhm.
I chose to teach elementary school, so you can go 2 routes. You can get a pre-K through 3rd grade certification, or you can get a kindergarten through 6th grade certification. I actually have both. Initially, I got the pre-K through 3rd grade just to be super transparent. I got it because it was easier. It was less exams, guys. It was less exams. So in order to do that in the state of New Jersey, you need to take one exam called the core exam, which is 3 exams built into one. And then you have to take one subject exam, which would be the pre-K through 3rd grade subject exam. And I passed that. So I was able to start teaching fairly quickly. But then the second one is way more. You take that core exam that I was telling you, that's 3 in 1. You take that, and then you have to take 4 additional exams to be a kindergarten through 6th grade teacher. And it's math, reading, science, social studies. And to be honest, we don't know the Pythagorean theorem, okay? We don't we don't know it. We don't remember. We don't remember like whose toe broke in the Civil War. Like we don't know. We don't remember. So it requires a lot of studying for that to pass those. But once you do that, you get a job as a you go through the alternate route program. It's a 50-hour course program. Whoever is like your advisor in your program, they come to your school, they see you teach, they observe you, they take log. And once you complete that, you get a certification that you can give to your employer that says, hey, they completed the 50 hours. So your employer gets a copy, the state of New Jersey gets a copy, and now you're free to teach in public schools. Um, and once you're there, then you start something called the provisional program. Basically, now the district is reporting back all of your teacher observations to the state. And after 2 years, you have a standard license. So when you have your initial license, sorry, I didn't say, it's called a certificate of eligibility. That means you can teach at any public school in the state of New Jersey. But if I was to move to Florida, my license doesn't come with me. So once I have a standard certification, I am a standard teacher in the US. So I can kind of move anywhere and do that. So that is the route you have to take. Prior to just this fall, you need to finish something out called an EdTPA, which is a portfolio full of like basically observations you're teaching. You have to create lesson plans. There's a video component to it. Proving to the state of New Jersey that you're a qualified educator. It costs a little over $400 to submit. Remember, teachers don't make a lot of money.
Right.
So I think some people lobbied and the state of New Jersey realized that was laborious and totally unnecessary. So they did away with it, praise God. And now we don't have to go through that, teachers who did not have a teaching degree, because that was only for those. So once you finish those 50 hours and then go through the whole provisional process is done and you have your standard, you are done. You don't have to submit that big old portfolio anymore.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yes. And did I mention that all those tests are like $90 each? So imagine having to take 7 exams and they're $90 each and you don't make a lot of money.
Right. I was going to say, you said, and this is the easy route. And while you're speaking, I'm like, exam on exam on exam on exams, like, zam.
Okay. It's truly a wild thing. Truly wild. So, yeah.
Wow. Kudos to you for doing all of it. That means you love it, huh?
I'm just saying, like, just being a student and having to take all this testing, but hey, to be your teacher, I have to do a lot of testing myself as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, can't say that I loved it though. Right. I just felt like I'm the type of person, once I start, let me just see it through. Like, I should see it through, my boy, right? Yeah. So like, once I start, I need to finish, and that was I had the end goal in mind. Going through the process, yeah.
Absolutely. Wait, did you mention what grade you currently teach? Miss it?
Currently, I'm a second grade teacher.
Okay,
I love it there.
Grade,
We're second to none.
Yes. Oh, that's cute.
I love that.
How long have you been teaching second grade?
This was my 8th year teaching. So I just completed my 8th year in education. Wow. But I've taught first and second grade.
Nice.
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, it's a combo.
Shout out to you for 8 years. You're almost at your 10th year, okay?
Wow.
Yes.
Cannot believe it.
Right.
It just goes by so fast, but that's amazing. So kudos to you for putting in all the work for all these years for the baby.
Yeah. It's a good time.
So within your 8 years, what do you like most about being a teacher? I know you shared earlier that you like the little stories that they tell and being around children, but specifically in your teacher role, is there anything that stands out?
I really like when they advance. So I love seeing, especially when I taught first grade, because I feel like I got to watch you come in and you're kind of still a baby at the beginning of first grade, right? But then you don't know that you're going to get a teacher like me that like truly cultivates independence in my classroom. So you didn't know that you'd be like typing in your own password into that Chromebook. You didn't know you'd be like logging onto your own Google Classroom, like things like that, or navigating things independently overall in the class. So just watching them go on and then hearing back from their teachers from the next year, like, well, your kids are really, and I said, I know. I know, right? You know, so that's something that really, really, really brings me joy. So it's not even about like the wins that I see within my classroom, which is something I do also enjoy, especially the small wins. Mm-hmm. I love celebrating small moments. And I think that a lot of kids have been trained to like, oh, when I graduate, like that's the big hurrah. Yeah. No. You started off this school year at a reading level A. You were expected to be at a D and you were at a G. I'm having a mini party. Bring out the ice pops. Like, you know, so that's more along the lines of things that I do in my classroom. So I love it there. So yeah, those are some things that bring me joy. And this year, one thing that specifically brought me joy is they messed around and gave me a student teacher. The best thing they could have did, okay? They gave me a student teacher. I love student teachers. They have young, fresh minds. I love it. I cannot wait to do it again. I already have my student teacher for next year set up. So yeah, that was like one of the greatest things. So that brought me a ton of joy.
Yes, I love that. Because one thing I must say is I've never actually like taught in an elementary school space. For me, it's been middle school, high school. So I feel like it just takes a different kind of breed of teacher to do elementary, middle school, high school. Like I feel like it varies like per person and experience and like what you want to bring to the table for your students.
For sure.
But I've worked in an elementary school space and I've understand what you mean by just watching them grow and being able to do different things, seeing how they are from the beginning of the school year, and by the end of you, like, oh my gosh, you've done so much in so little time.
Really?
Look at you.
Right.
So proud of you.
That's truly how I feel. Like,
so,
you did that.
Yeah, so that I can most definitely understand, like, especially when it comes to the babies and just like seeing the joy in their eyes and their faces. But I think sometimes the joy kind of like dissipates a little bit as the children get a little older. And you have to like reinstill that in them so they can find what joy really truly means to them, opposed to, you know, being an elementary student and you're just really finding your way.
For sure. Learning about life and how it works and
Yes.
All that.
So you kind of touched on what type of teacher you are already. But when Monie and I curated this, like what we wanted to know from Kristen type of thing, you know how there are different teachers on cartoons or in life. You have the super sweet teacher, and then you have Miss Gretchen, like kind of teacher, like the scary, spooky teacher. Like if there was a cartoon, which teacher would you say Kristen is?
Oh, wow. I am a little bit of Miss Frizzle, a little bit of Miss Lily. Did you see goodness, what movie was that? Matilda.
Oh yes.
Matilda. And a tinge of Miss Trunchbull. Because
girl, I don't spit on my water.
Because I'm not like turning kids upside down. I'm not abusing children, but I'm not telling you what I just said twice. You're gonna have to follow those directions the first time. And I work to make sure that the students that I serve, I teach in the hood on purpose. And I make sure that those students understand that when I tell you to do something and I'm only going to say it one time, I don't want to repeat myself. It's not because I'm mean. It's because when you go into the world, nobody's going to keep repeating themselves to you, especially you, a child of color. You're not going to get all these chances, right? So I want to start building the habits now, even in second grade. Start building the habits now because you're not always going to get the second chance. So when I say I do numbers for them to stand and line up. So when I say 1 and everybody doesn't stand up, now sit back down and you're wasting my time and I'm a little upset. You know? We're doing it again.
We're doing it again.
We're doing it again. And now, like, you know, sometimes at the end of the day, they have a few seconds to wind down. They want me to play a song. And I'm like, unfortunately, we had to redo a routine 2 times today. So now we're going to do what we were supposed to do then. Right? So it's like, you know, consequences for your actions. So that's my little bit of Miss Trunchbull. They know I don't play. I'm that kind of teacher, but I am very fun. My classroom gets very loud at times. We have chants. We have a class name. This year we named ourselves the Stars. And it was great, okay? It was great. We could be anywhere in the room. And I could be like, all we do is, and my kids say, shine. And everybody be like, what was that? Class roll call, you don't even know. Like, so stuff like that. Do make it fun. I have a lot of call and response. We do R&B during math, old school R&B. So this year they were really into Bobby Brown.
Brown, girl.
Okay. So I used to be like, my heart, and they say belongs to Maroni. That was like our call and response. I even made references to Friday. So I would say, holy moly. And they say, donut shop. It's great. We have a good time in second grade. So like, yes, I'm a teacher that kind of doesn't play. This is not my first rodeo. Don't play with me. Play with somebody else. But we do at the same time have a really good time. Students are learning, and I create an environment that's structured learning. I call it warm demanding.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that. Yes. I like how you correlated basically we're in school, but you're relating it to this is what you're gonna have to do in real life. And a lot of people wait until they're in high school or where you think that they can meet you where you're at. But little children are so smart and they can take in whatever you teach them. So you're also instilling discipline at the same time in a fun way as well. So I like the way that you painted that picture for me.
Yes.
And I also the way. Oh, go ahead.
I also run a classroom where I don't raise my voice. If I do, I have to be like something life-changing is happening. Like I have to be completely livid because something unsafe happened.
Yeah.
But like some teachers just yell all the time. Like, be quiet. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I will clap before I raise my voice.
Okay.
Right.
Vocals. I'm not.
Okay. I'm just not yelling at y'all. And like after a while, I told my kids at the beginning, I said, I understand that a lot of you respond best when people yell at you, but that's really weird. I just explained to them that it's strange that somebody has to really raise their voice in order for you to follow directions, in order for you to listen. So we're not living our life like that in this classroom. When I say something, that's what I mean, and I'm not repeating myself. So that's something that I actually love that about my classroom. I'm not yelling at you.
I like
Yes,
that too.
absolutely. I love that. I am the same way. But I was also going to say, I love the fact how you incorporate joy in your classroom in your own way. Because I know there's certain things that you learn in these PDs and certain ways that you can teach your classroom, but it's also the way you add your own swag to it, your own personality, which helps your students to grow to love you for who you are. So yes, you're your teacher. Yes, you're the teacher. You're teaching this curriculum, but I'm teaching it in this way to make sure that you enjoy it. You're in a safe, loving, learning environment. You don't feel like you're just coming to school to learn. You're also coming to school to have a good time and enjoy the spaces you're being in. So I love that you provide that energy that kids need, especially when school is a long day. I feel like kids are in school longer now than I was. And I'm like, y'all in school a long time.
It's a long day.
It's a very, very long day.
For sure.
Incorporating that joy throughout every subject and just having your own vibe throughout the day. They know at this time we're gonna do this time we get snack, this time we get our joy. It's all encompassing. So shout out to you for what you do for your students.
Why, thank you.
So Kristen, a lot of times when Monie and I have our podcast, or as best friends, we have conversations about work and things that we wish our jobs would do for us, because of our levels of stress, whether it's regarding personal life, work life, whatever that is. So how do you as a teacher or as Kristen deal with or cope with stress?
So presently in my career, I say no a lot. Just like, oh, Ms. Holmes, can you? No. And no is a complete sentence, complete answer. I'm very big on boundaries. I set them. As a matter of fact, my students' parents do not have my number. They don't have it. They don't need it. I have a way to communicate with them via Class Dojo, and there's really no reason that you need to speak to me on the phone. And when there is, I'll call you. But other than that, no. And I think that bothers some parents because teachers it's become a norm for them. Becoming over available and overextending yourself has become normal. And that's not something that I want to be a part of my life because I've experienced it and it's stressful. So to eliminate the stress, they don't have access to my number. If I have to call them, I don't call them from my personal number. I call them from a Google number because I could delete that app and then you have no contact. So I think that's something that has really helped me, letting my no be no and standing firm in my no, and not feeling obligated to give an answer. Like whatever I do for my emotional well-being is what I do for my emotional well-being, and I don't owe anyone an explanation for that. Yeah. So that's like the biggest thing. Earlier in my career, I would just not do things. So it's like I had a long to-do list and it's like, I'm stressed, I'm gonna take a nap. Lesson plans will never get done. Like so stuff like that. Which was to the detriment of my students. To be, completely transparent, I think that there were some things that I was lacking earlier in my career, but I am truly blessed that I've graduated and grown. It was actually another Black woman who helped me grow from that. She was the dean when I first started my graduate program. So that was a whole blessing in itself. Basically for her telling me that, frankly speaking, advocate for yourself, because white people do it all the time and it's for nonsense, and you legit have an actual reason to advocate for yourself. So make sure that gets done, and that gets done every time, on time and early. So once she told me that, I was like, girl, you on the time. You're on it. So when I just started with a new district, and when I started with this new district, I had a conversation with my principal and my vice principal and let them know that essentially what I say is what I mean. And if by chance you somewhere along the way decide to switch things up in a manner that I feel like is unreasonable, I will graciously resign. and I'll set up the next teacher for success. But here are my boundaries. Here's what I'm willing to do.
Yes.
And, you know, if we can't meet here, if that's okay, I have no hard feelings. This just didn't work out. I bid you adieu. And I'm really happy that I had that conversation with them because this is the best year I've ever had in education ever. And it's refreshing to feel like I'm going to stay somewhere for as long as I can.
Yes.
Never felt that way about any job ever.
And that's a great feeling to have. That is a wonderful feeling to have, especially when it comes to something that you're going to be doing long term that you're passionate about. Like, that means everything in the world. Because me and Yaya were just having a conversation before about not being at work and feeling guilty for having to take care of yourself. Like, I've had times where I've been sick and I'm thinking, but the kids, I was supposed to do this today. I told them I was going to do this week, and I can't do that if I'm not there, but I can't be my best self and fill their cups if mine is empty, you know?
That's it.
So I have to constantly remind myself of that, especially I've gone to work with no voice. I just had a student helper once. I was like, I really want to meet this deadline because I want them to finish this project. So I just got a student helper that day. But I'm like, but I can't do that every time. You know, right. I have to take my time to rest and make sure that I'm well so that I can be the best teacher I can possibly be in front of the classroom. Because Lord knows there's been some days where I've been feeling away and I was like, I knew I shouldn't have come.
Yes. Do what's sustainable for you.
Yeah.
Do what's sustainable for you. And it's funny because I explained to my kids at the beginning of this year, there was actually a video on Class Dojo. They have some social emotional learning videos on there. And there was one video that talked about a dip. So like sometimes you're just not feeling it, okay? Right. You're in a dip, you're down. And you can pull yourself up eventually, but doggone it, right now I'm down, okay? And I'm not feeling
that.
it.
Right. I'm in a dip.
I'm not feeling it today. I'm in a dip. So I literally, like, if I'm having a day where I chose like a dummy to come to work, do it for the kids, Miss Holmes. You know, I chose to come to work and do. But that's one thing that, shout out to my school administration, they do not, that's not their mantra. That's something that I have to unlearn from being at other schools and being in other districts where that was the standard. So now in the district and the school that I'm at, if I say, oh, I'm gonna take a day, okay, we'll see when you get back. It's like kind of nothing. But I tell my kids, I don't even have the emotional bandwidth to handle foolishness. Please don't try me today. Literally, don't try me ever, but really don't try me today. Today is really not it. I'm in a dip today, and I had the nerve to come to work because I'm in a dip because I want you to pass this math test next week. So I'm gonna need you to work with me today. And literally, they understand that. They're 7, so I'm turning 8. They get it.
Yes. So I love it when they get it. And it's great when they get it. Because those student helpers will always come through. Like, especially on one of those days, pass this out for me. Do that for me. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Yes, you may. Can you do the call and response for me? Thank you. Because I can't today, but I'm here for you because I want to make sure you get this done on time.
That's it. That is it.
But I can't do it every time. It's just
right.
Not realistic.
Right.
Not realistic.
I think
I can't drive with no wheels.
Right.
Period.
I think what's most important is the setting the boundaries for yourself, knowing what you need and responding to that need for yourself, and also setting those boundaries. What stood out and related to me was the phone calls. I used to, when I started my job, keep my work phone on all the time, and then I'll get anxious. I'm a Virgo. I'll get anxious about things. Mm-hmm. And whenever I see that client text me, I'm like, dang, I want to respond at 6:30. But if I respond now today, which is Saturday, I'm making up at 6:30 in the morning, then they're going to think they could text me at any time. I have to set my boundary 9 to 5. My phone comes on at 9. It goes off at 5. And even if it's on for whatever reason, even this morning, I told myself, don't respond. It was 8:50 something. I was like, they got 10 minutes. I'll respond at that point, because then once you give a little leeway one time, especially with adults, my clients that's calling and texting, they're adults. Kids may be a little bit different sometimes, but you got to put your foot down. And I love also, Kristen, that you said, basically white people vouch for themselves all the time. And us as colored folk, we don't do that. We have to learn to have a voice and say something. The worst thing that somebody can tell you is no, but you won't know that the answer is no if you don't open your mouth to ask. So good job setting up those boundaries and, knowing what you want. It took trial and error because you said this was your best year.
Yep.
To learn yourself, to know what you needed, to figure out what your boundaries are, and now you've had a successful year. So great job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Learning definitely took place.
And excuse my giggle. I wasn't laughing at nobody, but you said colored folks. So when people, I feel like, why she say colored folks? What year are we? So I tried to keep him laughing out loud from interrupting. I'm like, I know she did not just say colored folks.
I didn't even realize I said that.
Right.
Okay, that's my trauma. Speaking of trauma, Kristen, what impact does trauma have on student learning, and how do you address it in your classroom?
Sure. So, I think the biggest traumatic thing that existed in my classroom this year was I had 2 students who lost parents. And one student, her father passed away when she was in kinder. I teach 2nd grade. And another student, his mom tragically passed away from a car accident right before school started for the year.
Wow.
So I do give them space to talk about it if they want. But I don't let them harp on it all day, because 2nd graders are dramatic. That's when they start their drama era. And I want them to feel like school is a safe place where they can have conversations and express their feelings and emotions. And if I need to refer them to the guidance counselor or to the social worker, I can do that. I give them a space to talk about it openly amongst their peers. So it's like, hey, my dad died. So now, just as human beings, sometimes you're a little more conscious of talking about death, or even, oh, what did you do with your dad this weekend? They're not going to ask that because they know that your dad passed away, right? So I allow them to do that because it is traumatic. I cannot imagine at that age processing that amount of grief at one time. I just cannot imagine. As an adult, it's challenging, so I can't imagine processing it as a child. So I allow them to have that space. When wild things happen in the world, like when the fires were happening, I showed them videos of what happened when I don't know what happened. Was it a hurricane that happened in Florida? All those schools shut down and stuff like that. I showed them videos and we talked about it. So I do have very candid conversations with 7-year-olds, and I know sometimes people think it's wild, but I speak to them in a way that they understand. So I'm not using big multisyllabic words. I'm trying to break it down in a way that's digestible for them, and it's been effective. So traumatic things happen. We've heard gunshots in the middle of the day. How does that make you feel that you hear those gunshots outside? Aren't we lucky to have police who respond right away? Because literally it was we heard the shot and 2 seconds later we heard the police. So it's even though horrible things happen, this is what can happen as a result of it. We went on a field trip, and it was in an old home in Montclair. And the woman kept talking about let's say the man's name was Herbert. This is where Herbert slept, and this was Herbert's eating quarters. This is this big old mansion, right? So they asked the lady, they have tons of questions. So they asked the lady at the end, well, what happened to Herbert? And this lady was trying to say that Herbert died in the most gracious way. Okay. Right? So Herbert's no longer with us. They're like, well, where did he go? So I'm like, he died. Herbert's dead. So it's people try to sugarcoat things when the kids can handle knowing that this man who was alive in the 1800s, he's dead.
Right.
He's no longer with us. Well, where did he go?
Where's
did
Herbert?
He move? Is he in another state, another country?
No. So, I tell them stuff. I don't know. I very frank with them. Very frank.
And I think as you should be.
Yeah. And I think it just makes for I don't know, we're really transparent. I know things about their life. They're willing to share more things with me because I don't obviously you censor what you say to children. Right. But I don't why were you late today? I was asleep. I overslept. Or why do you choose that perfume? Because I couldn't find the one I wanted to wear. That's why. I couldn't find it.
And, kids not gonna sugarcoat nothing. They're just gonna ask what's on their mind. Just whatever comes to the brain at that moment. Let it come from the slip from the tongue.
Always. So hopefully that answers your question.
It did.
As a teacher, I am my first year teaching in charter. One of my students actually died, which was the most traumatic thing that I've ever experienced in education. And I was teaching in her classroom. I was teaching second grade at the time. And what I love about charter is there's usually 2 teachers in the classroom. So another teacher in first grade, she had to go on emergency maternity leave. So I switched classrooms. And when I switched classrooms, this student transferred to another school. But it wasn't even 2 full weeks later, I get to work and my new teaching partner is like, I say good morning. I'm bubbly in the morning. So I'm like, good morning. Hey, how you doing? And she's like looking downtrodden. And I'm like, you all right? You all right over there? And she tells me that my student died. And I think at first it was just shock. It was shock. And then my brain, I didn't even want to process it for myself, but how am I going to tell the 20-something kids in my old classroom down the hall who are in second grade, they're 7. Like, how do I even begin to tell them that? Like, what steps need to happen? So my other teaching partner from the second grade class was inconsolable. They sent her home for the rest of the day. I didn't have that luxury to even, who's going to stay with my kids? Like, literally. And that was a do it for the kids type place. So it's like I never really got to grieve that. Even like when they told my kids, that was a different story in itself. Someone advised them to tell the students the next day, but they didn't have any grief counselors set up. They had not notified the parents. So one of my students came down to me. He's like, "Oh, Miss Holmes, is so bad," and I was like, "What's bad?" He was like, "I need some tissue," and I'm like, "Oh, I've got tissue, no problem." He was like, "It's just really bad though." And I'm like, "What's really bad?" And then he tells me that the little girl died. He was like, "We need tissue, lots of tissue." So thankfully, my teaching partner was in the room. I go into the classroom and I will never forget this sound of 23 not crying, weeping children. The worst sound that I ever in my life have heard. And I just sat, there's nothing you can do. There's no grief support. There's literally nothing you can do. I sat there for 45 minutes with sobbing children. Horrible. Worst thing in my life. So after I experienced that, when it comes to like relaying information to children, I don't sugarcoat it. I don't try and make it in some type of pretty, whatever happened was crappy. It was horrible. It is what it is. So like, let's deal with this in the most healthy way possible with the biggest supports that I know how to provide so that we can move forward.
Wow.
So yeah.
That I have often heard that your first year of teaching is most likely going to be your hardest year of teaching, but I would never think in that aspect it would be hard like that. Like that's a lot. Like I can't imagine that being someone's first year and them like foreseeing them like going to continue to teach. Like so just
I don't know how I got here either, girl.
The strength that you had to continue to do what you do after going through that experience. Wow. Like I can only barely imagine like what it would be to be in that room with all those children without having the needed support to console them.
Wild. That's what it was. It was wild. And yeah, it's funny. I still see the CEO of that charter organization. I still see him outside of work. I just keep walking though. Wow. I don't have a lot of words there. I can send him the bill from my medical after I had to deal with the trauma. Right. I can send you can pay me back, Toots. Okay.
Wow.
But yeah.
I would just say that in my experience, what you just shared does have a traumatic impact on children, that they can become suicidal later in life, or that they'll like start putting blame on quote unquote the wrong people because they don't know where that placement is. So the thing that sucked with your story that you shared was that there was no support afterwards. There were no, like, they could have outsourced some therapist to come in or provided resources for the family. Let the parents know, so then when the kids go home, you'll have some parents that's like, what the you crying for? Like, shut up, and don't know what they're grieving or how they're feeling to empathize with them or anything. So that like that's really, really
Heartbreaking.
heavy.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking for sure.
Yeah. And shout out to my friend Jocelyn. She actually at the time was the director of a grief program that had an office in the building. They didn't notify them.
Oh,
So it's yes, it's truly at the fault of the leadership of that institution. Yes.
wow.
Yes. She had an
I have
office
no words.
there. She had still to this day, in regards to anyone who asked me if I was okay when that happened, it was her.
Wow.
Oh, I'm telling you, education is a wild place, okay?
Talk about adding icing on the cake. Like, why? What? In the same building?
The same building. Literally, her office, maybe 10 paces away from my classroom door, if that. Yeah.
Well, that's
I
the
don't know
thing.
if because their schedule didn't run on the same school schedule. They're a nonprofit. So like sometimes they were in the community, like doing grief workshops and seminars and things like that. So they're not always in the building. But if you notify them, they can
They
make
couldn't get an
provision
email.
Right.
they can make provision to make that happen. Oh, they got the
Email,
email
phone call.
after, girl.
A
After
note, slide a note under the door. I don't know.
under the door. Nothing.
Wow. That is heartbreaking.
It is.
Wow.
Disservice to the children for sure.
Oof. All right, let's take a deep breath.
Much needed.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to just say this for the last question. We asked you that question because we know that a lot of times, yes, you're there to educate the children, but a lot of times teachers take on more by being that support that a lot of children don't have at home, being that mentor, being that bright, bubbly person that they don't get at home. We never really know what children are enduring when they leave that classroom. You have some students who don't want to leave school because they don't have food to eat or anything like that. So that's why listeners that are listening, we asked Kristen that question regarding the trauma, but that's way more than what we expected
Right.
of response to be. That's a lot. So,
and when your students are hungry, I've had students who are hungry, and shout out to all the teachers, shout out to the new teachers. Just go and talk to the cafeteria staff, ask them to put aside whatever's left at the end of the day, and you stuff your students' book bag. End of the story.
That's good to know. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen.
Wow.
Okay, so one final question. How do you incorporate SEL into your lesson? And for those people who are like me who didn't know before Simone had to tell me, SEL is social emotional learning. So how do you incorporate social emotional learning into your lessons?
So I start my day with SEL every day. I am a big social emotional learning person, big on it. My school does have an SEL curriculum that they have. I don't love it, and that's okay. I don't have to love it, but I do review the SEL things with them. They have modules, I go through the modules with them, but I kind of make it my own. So I allow them to have discussions. They do something called turn and talks. That's when like you pair up with the student that's near you and you talk about whatever question is posed. We also have an SEL box in my classroom that we got from like Lakeshore Learning, and it has a bunch of prompts. So it may say, what are some ways that you think a new student would feel before they came to your classroom for the day? So the students can talk about it, and then that's an opportunity for us to talk about how we treat each other, what first impressions are and how they matter and things of that nature. So yeah, I start my day with SEL every day with that. But before we even get into that, I start my day with the daily affirmations. I have an affirmation video that I found on YouTube where the kids can like repeat after it. But then shout out to Snoop Dogg. Okay. Because Snoop Dogg has these videos. He has a YouTube channel for kids called Doggy Land.
With the little dog thing?
Yes, the dog looks like him with like the ponytails and the hair, everything. Totally lit. Shout out to them. And Doggy Land has affirmations in the morning. So we definitely rock out to those literally every day. I have a playlist that I do. And I also teach children to say hello. Like, I just think it's so weird that, like, when we were growing up, I'm not walking past no grown person and not saying nothing to them.
Right.
It just wasn't acceptable. Right. Even if I'm grumpy. Don't nobody care that you grumpy. Say good morning. Say hello, say good morning.
What you say when you walk into a room?
Hello. Hi, everybody. Like, even if you do one of those, right? So I actually show them, I'm obsessed with language. Probably has something to do with my speech language pathology degree, but I'm obsessed with language. So I actually show them videos on how to say hello in like 15 different languages every morning. So when they come in, they never know what I'm gonna say. I may be like, "Ni hao" this morning. Like, that's my hello for the day. It kind of like makes it fun, keeps it fresh in the morning. So between the greet your folk the right way with the greetings, with the hello in the morning, the affirmations, and then getting into the SEL, it really sets precedence for the day. And I refer to it throughout the day. So if today we learned about being a good friend, I'll tell them like, oh, wow. Like during a math lesson, I give them a chance to partner up. Wow, I'm really looking for a friend that's going to make good choices and be a helping hand today, just like we talked about this morning, so that it doesn't just live in the morning, it lives throughout the day in our lesson. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Oh my gosh. Back to what I said earlier about making your classroom your own vibe, even with you not liking the layout of what is already provided, you take what they give you and you make it your own. And I think that's
Absolutely.
what makes a great teacher. Like not just being in this robotic form of like being somewhere just to receive a check and just this is XYZ 1, 2, 3, go do it. No, like this is a space that is ours. And I want you to feel comfortable in this space. I want you to feel comfortable asking questions. I want you to feel comfortable being yourself, being creative. Like this is an environment where you should be learning from me as well as from your peers. I love a good turn and talk. Every time I have an opportunity for a turn and talk, all right, now turn and talk to me. Somebody tell me, what did y'all talk about?
Yes.
And incorporate it into the rest of the day. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. 8 years running, you ain't new to this. You true to this. Come on now.
A little true.
Thank you so much, Kristen. That was a lot of information, and I learned some new things today, especially with the SEL. I didn't know what to expect, but I loved what you shared regarding that. I want to give kudos to you for all that you do with just making your classroom a place that's happy and that's safe, a safe haven for your children or your students to come to. So I wish that we had more Kristen teachers like you, or maybe there are some developing with your student teachers, right? They're gonna learn from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Miss Crawford and shout out to Miss Forbes. Those are Miss Crawford is the one I just had. She's amazing. She's gonna be fantastic. Her students will be lucky to have her.
Yes, amazing work. So continue working, but we want to invite you to our next segment, which is our dorm story. So hopefully you don't mind if we keep you a little longer.
I'll be there. Thanks so much for this conversation. This was great.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to have the next topic at hand. All right. So we'll meet you over there.
See you then.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? In today's dorm story segment, we have the wonderful Kristen Holmes joining us from the classroom, okay, to the dorm story segment to discuss a teacher or mentor that has made an impact on our lives. Kristen, would you love, or Miss Holmes, would you like to start us off?
Yes. So I have multiples. Can I?
Same.
Okay. So the first one that I have is the first one that I have was, his name is, I hope he's in the land of the living. His name is John Hagins. He was my history teacher in high school, my honors history teacher. And he also taught my brothers, which my brothers are way older than me, like 10 and 13 years older. But he taught them as well. What I loved about Mr. Hagins is Mr. Hagins is gay. He was gay back then, but back then you couldn't really say he was gay out loud. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Hagins used to do stuff on the slick, okay? Mr. Hagins had before it was a thing, he had the little rainbow bumper sticker on his car, because you're not about to let this man not be loud and proud, okay?
Right.
I loved him for that. But more so that Mr. Hagins saw a light in me that I didn't see in myself. I was 13. He approached me one day in class and was like, I really feel like you would be a really great teacher. And I was like, Mr. Hagins, wow. And he's like, no, I really feel like you would be. and the district is looking for tutors. I said, for me to tutor who and what? He was like, you can tutor elementary school students up to 4th grade. I was like, Mr. Higgins, please. And he was like, you should do it. Like, it's a paid job. It's like a real job. I'm like, all right, whatever. So literally all Mr. Higgins did was submit whatever paper to say I said I was going to do it. And I literally started working my first job the next week.
Aww.
So my first job was tutoring. And then I went to Mr. Higgins and I was like, hey, friend, this money is not moneying at all. Like, this is not it. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. So next week, the Newark Museum is coming and they're looking for aftercare teachers. It pays way more.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, you should definitely apply. And I was like, okay, whatever. So they actually came to my school to interview me. But I didn't have a resume. So they were asking for a resume. They're like, yeah, just get us a resume, send it to us in an email, whatever. Give it to your teacher. He'll fax it over to us. And I did.
Facts.
Okay. the times were showing. Okay. The times were showing. This had to be like 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The times were showing. So, shout out to my dad. He was an HR director at the time. And before he retired, and he whipped up a quick resume for me and I gave it to Mr. Higgins. And the next day I started working. And that is what really culminated my love for education. So I'd already been babysitting for years by then. So it's like, I already know I'm cool at babysitting. I already know I like kids, but like tutoring them and then working as an aftercare teacher. And my focus was science, having been with the Newark Museum. That like really sparked the spark. Like it really lit me up. And then my senior year, there was a class that you could take. It was like future educators class. And guess who was teaching the class?
Mr. Reagan.
Mr. Higgins. I was so hyped. I was like, I get to be with my guy back together again. Right. So because he only taught freshmen. So like, oh, I miss him so much. And then this man retired in the middle of the school year. And I never spoke to him again.
Wow.
Never. And I was devastated, like not crying and sobbing and stuff, but I kept asking teachers, like the black ones, like, you see Mr. Higgins? Is he okay? And they like, girl, he retired. He had all them days saved up. That man retired. And he was everything that I want to be as a teacher. He was always very kind to us as students. And like high schoolers can be jerks.
Yeah.
But in his classroom, there was none of that. Like I had some classes with other students that I also had that were in the class I shared with him. And they were totally different people. He created an atmosphere where students wanted to be there. And he was nice. He wasn't soft or anything like that. He was a warm, demanding teacher. But he brought a lot of joy to his classroom. So I really enjoy having him as a teacher. And he really made me want to be a teacher. So that was the first person. The second one is actually my godmother. She had the crazy idea to teach for 30-something years, retire, and then start her own school.
Oh, nice.
So, and she's still, sorry, godmommy, she's in her 70s, and she is the sole educator at her school. Like, she has assistants, but she's still, like, teaching. Wow. Who does that?
Who does that?
Like the Energizer Bunny. She keep going and going.
She's someone who truly loves learning. She teaches at a Bible school, a Bible college as well. She was it before COVID? Right before COVID, got an honorary doctorate degree from them because of all the work that she's done throughout her career. So it would be my godmother. She's pretty doggone amazing. Shout out to Miss Tyson. She's the bomb.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, you want to go? You want me to go?
All shine.
All right, so I have a few different mentors and teachers that I had a whole bunch come to mind, but one that I wanted to talk about today was my African dance teacher that I started dancing with in 4th grade, and I pretty much danced through high school, pretty much. Sister Linda was like my home away from home, the disciplinarian when I was going through something, and my mom was like, you know what? Take me to Sister Linda. Like, at some points, that lady used to scare me. Like, she used to say stuff like she would jump down your throat and tap dance on your liver, like.
Oh my God.
Old school. Don't play with her.
Right.
Old school. Like,
bringing out the fax machine.
Right. she used to be like, you better not CRY, like when you got in trouble. And I'd be like, CRY, like don't see and ask why. No, she's spelling cry. Don't CRY. But I love that lady so much. Like her disciplinary, I guess like a form of a trunchable, so to speak. But it's just the way that she loved and cared for all of her students. And like outside of the dance class, like I spent some time at her home. You got to a point where whatever I was going through at that time as a child, and it's just like my mom got to a point was like, you know what, you need to be somewhere else for a little bit. So she basically kind of sent me off, and it taught me a little bit more responsibility, being in a different environment, but also being grateful for the things that I had and missing home. Like I feel like that was the first time as a child where my mother was like, you know what, try being somewhere else for a little bit. But even like being away from home, still being with Sister Linda, it was just kind of like, no, you're not here. This is not time for you to have fun. I want to make sure that you don't ever want to disrespect your mother again, or even find yourself in a place where your mother has to send you somewhere else because you're not respecting her home. Mm-hmm. So she was like the disciplinarian that I needed at that time in my life, and I will always and forever love her for that. She even technically she gave me my first job when I was in high school, 15, 16 years old. I wanted to teach hip hop dance, so she gave me my own segment in class to start teaching hip hop. So she was doing African dance, and I started doing hip hop. It even came to a time where I had to choose between like, dang, do I want to play basketball or do I want to dance? I couldn't do both. I chose dance. So I literally danced with her from 4th grade, basically through high school. And then at one point, I went away to college and came back, and I was looking for her. Like, she's not working here no more. What happened? Like, the youth center that I used to go to, she just wasn't there anymore. And I couldn't find her. Like nobody got a contact where she at. And randomly one day, I was down the street from my nana's house. I walked down the street and I found that she was teaching a class literally right down the street. I said, oh, I'm coming up in here.
I love that.
So as my young adult self in my early 20s went back and was dancing with Sister Linda, it was an amazing experience. And if I ever come up, I'm pretty sure her little self is still around dancing somewhere. This small little lady full of so much joy and spunk and attitude. Like, she will always and forever be in like just a major aspect of my life to help mold me into the woman that I am. I think in a way I do have a part of her teaching methods as a part of me, because I don't take no mess. I will love you. I can be your friend, but at the end of the day, we have boundaries set, and you're going to respect me. So shout out to Sister Linda wherever she may be. My West African dance teacher. I still know all the dances. I know a little cocky lambe, you know.
I know that's right.
I still know the dances. I still can play a little. I remember the juju drum.
I know that's right.
So if I find me a West African dance class, I'm just refreshing my steps, okay?
Period.
But yeah, I love that. That was from an early age up until.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's super sweet. Shout out to Sister Linda. For me, I can't name a specific teacher when I think about middle school to high school. I would say that I am a special person. Like before this specific school, the way that I memorized things from a young child, even to grad school, I had to make a song for it. That's the way that I learned my numbers. That's the way that I learned about people in the history book. That's the way I learned about Sigmund Freud. Like I turned everything into a song or a joke or something like that. So I want to give credit to the teacher. I don't know how North Star is now, but the teachers at North Star, they would turn things into songs. And if they didn't have that skill, they would let us turn things into songs so then we could have fun, like Kristen, basically, like have fun inside of the classroom and actually take on the knowledge. We would even compete with each other, like who could make the better song about geography inside of our classrooms. And then even the principal, Mr. V, he and the drama teacher would get together and do stuff. And like I remember one time we're focused on a history lesson. This was 7th grade. We're focused, trying to pay attention. Then all of a sudden, these characters walk into the classroom, literally dressed up as people from back medieval times with their captain hats on and all the stuff. Like reenacting what we were learning in that day. So obviously the teacher set that up for it to happen, but they really put a lot into making sure that, okay, we know that children can remember these lines from Friday movie and can remember what they watched on the cartoon and remember that song that they listened to on the way to school. So let's turn the education into that so they can remember it. And to this day, sometimes when I see the classmates that I went to school with, we can recall the songs that we used to sing. Like it sticks with you throughout life. And then Moni and I spoke about things that were offered in school. So I didn't grow up in a school where we learned about your body parts or things that, being a parent, like the parenting where you had the egg and different things like that. We learned different things, but our teachers got together and had a let's come together on Saturday. We're going to have a woman's group and we're going to have a boys group and then teach them different things like that. They took time out of their regular life to make sure that they're, aside from the curriculum, are pouring into us, making the Saturday classes fun. Even though we had to study for this major New Jersey test, it was exciting to come to class, even though I had to wake up on a Saturday morning. But to learn from my teachers, and I also give credit to that same school. I was able to travel out of the country twice on their dime. My mama only had to buy my passport and pay $100 for me to go. And my first job, MetLife, and then Audible. Like, what 14-year-old gets to tell you that they worked at MetLife? That's dope. So I just thank the whole unit, like that whole crew of teachers that I had at North Star at that time period for instilling in me things that a lot of people growing up in Newark didn't have those same opportunities that I had or have that same experience that I had. And then that aside, the one name that I do want to say is Dr. Plummer, Dr. Diane Plummer. She's deceased now. But that was one of my favorite professors at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. She was more than a professor. She was a mother to me and to a lot of other students. She did not play, but when you came into her classroom, if you're allowed in her classroom, you learned a lot. She cared. She made sure that you knew the material. She related to you, not just as a student and the professor who's getting a paycheck, but you really felt like she cared about um, what you were learning, what internships you got, how your project is going. Come to her at any time. She'll help you and help you to feel comfortable with it. And when I say allow, she did not play. So the same way that she knows that if you go to a job, you can be written up for being late or not showing up, etc. If her class started at 9:15, that door is open until 9:16. That door locked. If you're not in there, that's on you. You have to be on time. So I like that correlation with Kristen too. Like you know what they're gonna have to deal with in real life. You bring that into the classroom, and it's not. She wasn't doing that to be mean. Because there were some people who couldn't stand that, but she was trying to teach you a lesson. You're not going to be late tomorrow. You're not going to be late. I think her class was Tuesday and Thursday. You ain't going to be late 2 days from now. You're going to be on time because you know that I'm going to lock that classroom. And I used to hate standing up in front of people and presenting, but she made sure that I was prepared for the presentation that we had to give at Spelman College for the psychology department. That I stood in front of everyone and was comfortable. She didn't hold my hand necessarily, but I felt like she was always there with me. And then even after graduating, she would email me, "How's grad school? How's Ron? How's life going? How's your brother?" Like she really felt like family. So I will never forget her. She was like a big part of going back to Clark Atlanta. Even when I visited, like Moni said, I will like peek to try to find out where she is, or I'll call her or email her to see if she's going to be on campus so I can reconnect with her. So I'm grateful to have that experience. And it's really nice hearing y'all's story too of how people made an impact in your life as well.
Oh, that was beautiful. Also,
inspired.
shout out to Mr. Vaselli. He's still like that. He was the dean my first year of grad school. I don't know if he's still a dean.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he's still like that. Still with it.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure.
Wow. And look at that. And just like that, how we came in, we're going out because that is dorm stories. And I really do hope that for those of you that are listening can also share in our comment section about mentors or someone in your life, a teacher that you grew up with that has made an impact on your life. I would love to hear more stories about this. Matter of fact, they should go ahead and leave us a voice note on Anchor so that we can share it later. You know what I'm saying? Because we could do that now. We could do that. Leave us a verbal
technology.
message. Yes.
You ain't got to fax. They ain't got to fax.
You ain't got to fax it.
Leave a voice note.
You can leave us a voice note and tell us about your experience with a mentor or a teacher that has impacted you and helped shape your life. But before we officially go, Miss Holmes, you need to let everybody know where they can find you, socials, if you want to, your business and things like that. Yes, come on.
Okay. I own a mobile childcare company. I will come to your event and provide childcare. I have a CPR, adult and child CPR certified staff. They've all been background checked. Most of them are educators themselves. Nice. We will come to your event. We will provide childcare. I also do tutoring, date night sitting. And if you're looking for a nanny, I can help you with nanny placement, perhaps. My Instagram for that is @JustBringTheKids on Instagram, on Facebook, and my website is www.justbringthekids.com.
Yes.
And just bring the kids.
Just bring them. Just bring them.
Definitely put that in our description to make sure that you are able to find Miss Holmes if you are in need of her services. Okay. Anything else that anybody want to add before we go?
I do. If you have a bachelor's degree and you have an interest in children, please reach out to the local Department of Education in your area because there's a severe teacher shortage in the United States. Please help us. Help me.
Yes,
help us.
There definitely is. Lots of schools are hiring.
Yes, consider being a teacher, please.
Yes.
It ain't for the weak, but it's for somebody.
It's for somebody. It could be for you.
It could be you.
Yeah,
Thank you, ladies, again for having me. I'm thrilled. This was amazing. I had a really
It was a really, really, really great conversation from Hot Topic over into Dorm Stories. Just very, very, very memorable conversations. I loved it.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen, for your time, for everything that you shared with us. I'm grateful for it. So I look forward to what other people have to say. You may have shared some information that other people didn't know about or inspire somebody to take those tests or get with it. You have to follow the dream or the what's the word? I typically hate to say dream, but whatever your aspiration is in life, you have to go for that. So you may have spoken to someone today. So even though you shared some tidbits with me that I'm not aware of, there's somebody who's aspiring to be a teacher and may have felt defeated until they heard you today. So thank you for your time and everything.
Yes,
my
absolutely.
pleasure.
Until next time.
Chick-fil-A. My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Until next time.
Bye. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. Yeah. You gotta get a workout wherever you can because
I feel like it's been a long time since I've been in the gym, but it's only been a couple of days. It's been a couple of days. Yeah.
All right.
So first of all, we want to thank Kristen for being a special guest on our podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you
for sharing the tea, the gems, and everything about what it's like being a teacher. Did you ever want to be you are a teacher technically. I was about to say, did you ever want to be a teacher when you were?
Honestly, what's crazy is that today I actually wrote a post about how today was my last day as my first year as a full-time teacher. And teaching chose me. I never saw myself actually being a teacher. So when I say I fell into teaching, it literally just happened.
Like that.
Like in college, I've always done tutoring and mentoring. And then I don't know, it's just, it's hard to explain. Like I graduated from college, somebody was like, hey, you are a film major, can you come teach film? And I was just like, oh, sure, never done that. So it's just always been a matter of me coming up with my own ideas and creating these different things and teaching things that I love. I taught step when I graduated from college, so I was on a step team, and then I taught dance because I just love to dance. So the fact that it feels like my life has come full circle, me getting my master's in film, but now I'm getting paid to teach film.
Yeah.
But from a proposal that I wrote, like that's what makes it cool, really, really freaking dope. Like I wrote the proposal with my idea, somebody believed in it, was like, yes, we want that, invested the money, and now I'm building my own curriculum and teaching something that I wish that I thought, I'm teaching something that I wish that I had when I was growing up. So like, I wish film was a class that I had in middle school or high school. That wasn't available to me. I didn't have that until I went to Park Atlanta and then went to my master's program. So the fact that I'm able to give that now, to give students more of an idea of where they can take a career in film, whether it be writing, directing, being on a part of the crew, being a part of the camera crew, the grip crew, acting, like I can give them so many different avenues of where they can go and being in a film career, producing, if that's what they wanted to do. I'm just happy that I'm able to give that information, because growing up, I didn't know all that. I just knew movies. I knew cameras. So, yeah, so to answer your question, I did not always want to be a teacher, but I've always wanted to work in entertainment in some form, to be honest. Even though I also used to want to be an architect.
Ooh, we're friends.
I did, until my little sister broke my Lego tower and my dreams were crushed as I watched the Lego set.
I heard the story.
Devin, you know what you did.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes, I just called you out.
Hey, Devin. Dang, she grown now.
Yeah, she's 21. 21.
21.
She's 21 now. Wow. We're going to party up this summer. I can't wait. Speaking of the summer,
well, I want to tell about me being a teacher.
Oh, I don't know. It was a question for you too. Go ahead.
I enjoyed when I was a teacher. It's funny now because I went to Forever 21 recently, and
21.
Yeah, we're speaking on the thing. 21. And I saw this lady. She looked familiar, lady, right? And she was like, "You look familiar." I said, "You did too. Did you grew up in Newark or something like that?" She was like, "Were you a substitute teacher?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "I think you were my teacher." And it was weird, but
you look so young.
No,
friend,
like on crack.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that just reminded me. I used to teach Devin A.
I used to teach Jamil.
I was her STEM teacher. I was her STEM teacher. So the fact that she's 21 now, that just anyway.
But, oh my God, I'm still at the same age. I remember one time I came into a classroom and my brother, like, he just like talks too much. He's extra. He's like too much if you know him. But he's like, so like everybody loves him, but he be doing too much sometimes. But anyway, when I came into the classroom, everybody's sitting down, whatever, and everyone's looking at him like, Jamil, why are you so quiet today? And they were like, "Are you sick? What's wrong?" And he's just like, "Nothing," because I'm not gonna put him on like, "Oh, hey, Jamil," whatever. I'm here to teach. I'm gonna treat you just like everyone else. And it's funny because in my grandmother's obituary, they put the fact that my grandmother was a teacher and then my brother was a student, and he said, "Hi, Grandma," and then he was like, "You can't call me Grandma," so then he learned, "Hi, Miss Ida." Like, no, it's Miss Williams. So they were like, "Ooh, Jamil got a crush on a teacher," and he was like, no, I don't. And then the grown-ups that like the teacher helpers and stuff started saying it too. He was like, "I don't have a crush on her. It's my sister." So it was just like funny. But all in all, what I wanted to share was that when I finally had my own permanent classroom, it felt good not just to teach chemistry, because I don't really know that much about chemistry, but it didn't really just feel good to teach, but it felt good to be a mentor to students. Like, I started to get, because I was fresh out of college. I was fresh out of Park Atlanta, and I was in grad school, and the students were coming to me to ask for big sister advice. What do I think about college? Like, just asking things about that. So I could just relate to how your experience and Kristen's experience and other teachers' experience of, it's a lot taking on being a teacher. You're not just a teacher.
Oh,
you
no.
I've
been a counselor.
You're a counselor. You're a mentor. You are a parental figure. Yeah. You are a safe haven. You are the funny person. You are everything. You're spending more time with the students than they spend with their family during this time of year. So that, if anything, I miss most about being in the school setting. I've been offered jobs so many times because the principals often thought that I was working as a sub because I was working my way to be a teacher. And I'm like, oh no, I'm just in college. I just didn't afford it, or I fell into this opportunity. But if salary wasn't a thing, if money wasn't a thing, if this therapy thing didn't work out for me, I would go back to being a teacher because it was a great opportunity. It's had its rough days.
It's very rewarding.
But it's very rewarding to say the least. And I think it coincides with therapy too, so it's like a natural thing. Shout out to the teachers out there.
Yes, shout out to all the teachers.
Y'all, it's a lot of Okay.
So our July question of the month is, what's your activity? What is it? What do you like to do? Now, I got a lot because I be crunching. I'm about to get back to skating.
Don't be like my dermatologist, but I hope y'all do something.
Mine is most likely sleeping in.
Working out in.
Right, going to the gym. For fellow teachers, is it traveling? Come on, what is your favorite summer activity? Please, please, please let us know. Find our video on YouTube when you put it up, comment there. Find the post on Instagram, comment under there.
Let us know.
Let us know.
We might go late.
Exactly. Plus, you might tell us some new summer activities that we didn't know about. You be surfing? Do you be surfing? I want to try though. I really do want to try, but I gotta stay close. Like I am kind of scared though, but it's something that I would try one day. I'm willing to try surfing one day, but it's gotta be before 40 because as of right now, there's just parts of my body that's breaking down. Did double dutch last week, and the next morning I felt like I was hit by a train, and it was some junk.
Oh yeah, you did tell me that you needed to.
I said now I know before activities I gotta rub myself down and take an ibuprofen, and then I'll be straight. My mama already told me, she was like, your body not gonna heal as fast as it used to. I was like, ma'am, I'm in my 30s, not my 50s. Like I understand that it's gonna take a longer process, but this too much. Y'all, let me tell you one more thing. I caught myself embracing my inner child, getting on this obstacle bouncy house that the kids got on, racing another teacher. Hot as hell. So you know the plastic on a little bouncy house is hot. Hot. So hot, it can burn you. So I get to the little end part. Mind you, as soon as I started, my ankle went in. So I lost it immediately because I'm like, this needs some more air. Where did my foot go? So you have to climb, you have to go around, go through this little tube, climb to the top, then go down the slide. I go down the slide, break my neck, and that's what it looked like in the video. Break my neck. And then burnt my elbow and my arm because the slide was so hot. I said, "Why ain't got no water? This needs to be a water slide."
And she's still bruised, y'all.
I still am. It's a burn, so it don't hurt. It's just a burn. It's gonna go away.
But I was just like, discoloration.
I had to put an ice pack on my wrist to embrace my inner child. But you know what's so funny? I would do it again because it was fun.
She got an ice pack.
It was just too hot. It was just too hot. It was just too hot. It was hot. So I would wear sleeves next time. That's my solution. So favorite summer activity, let us know.
Yes, let us know. And speaking of, you're going to be able to see on YouTube when we post. We posted in May what was our bestie activity. It's been a while. But we posted for National Wine Day, which was May 25th. So if you've not yet seen that post, hop on over.
Check it out.
To YouTube and watch us sip different wines, whether we liked it or not. Monie was really honest about what she thought, and I think I was too.
I was.
So, watch it, y'all.
Right. We're gonna go to an actual wine tasting sooner than later, so we can actually go out and about and sip on other wines that I can be really critical about and say how nasty it is. Y'all, it's a gnat up in here.
It's not a gnat.
I don't know what it is. Fruit fly, gnat. It's one of those little tiny things. And it been trying to sip on my drink for
It has. But you've been doing good.
I have. All right.
Any other announcements?
Last but certainly not least, reviews can be shared on all of our platforms. Let us know what you think of LoveLoudd LLC, what you think of Truth Carpet, our vibe, our personalities, our friendship. You can let us know on Instagram. You can put it on one of our posts. You can put it in a DM. You can send us an email at LoveLoudd, LOVELOUDD at, oh wait, I forgot the 08. LOVELOUDD 08 at gmail.com. That is our email. Put review in the subject line. Ooh. You can give us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever our podcasts can be found. And do not forget about YouTube, and make sure you subscribe. We love good reviews, and not even a review, maybe even suggestions for what you want us to talk about, or games you want us to play, or questions you want us to answer during the Icebreaker. Let us know. Ask and you shall receive. That's our motto over here. Okay.
So also, if you want to leave a rating, if you've been listening to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can leave us a rating on there too. So we would love for you to leave us a rating. The reviews also let other people know if they may be hip or like our podcast too. You know, so many different podcasts out there. Yes. There are dry ones, there are juicy ones. What do you think about it? So yeah,
we better be the juicy one. I don't like it. But if you got some suggestions to make it a little wetter, we'll take it.
Sorry, y'all. But anything else, Monie?
No, that's it. It's a great episode. Glad we finally back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back. It's been a minute. I got my girl. Wait, she coughing.
Sorry.
I got my girl with me.
Yes, we're back. We're together.
And I can't wait to continue this season. It's good to be back with y'all and talking. Season 4 of True Carpet. My on the fly song is better than yours.
There they are, but I'm gonna write my jingle for the next episode, and it's gonna sound good. Hopefully y'all receive it, because I didn't like your jingles at first, but now I like them. So we're gonna see what happens.
They grew on her, just like they grew on you.
Oh my gosh! Thanks for listening to another episode of
True
Carpet. Stay black.
Stay proud.
Ba, 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 ba.